Going analog is all about creating a distraction-free practice zone for you. This distraction-free practice zone that you're creating, you'll be using it for your active preparation. And I've covered active preparation in detail in a video that comes further down the line. But remember, it is important for you to create a distraction-free practice in order to ensure that you make the maximum amount of growth with the minimum investment of time. Let's get started. To create a distraction-free practice bubble, we'll be creating a time block. Okay. A time block is a part of your day which you have structured so systematically that when that time arrives, then you do your habit or you follow whatever plan that you have created without any sort of hesitation or resistance. Let's see how to get there. To help you follow along this entire habit loop, I'll tell you more about what habit loop is soon. I've created a worksheet, and to download this worksheet, please go to the link that I have put or I have pinned to the comments. Okay. So the first part of this habit loop. Now, habit loop is a concept that I have adapted from the book Power of Habit. It's by Charles Duhigg. You don't have to read the book. I've got the most important part of the book down for you here. If you get time, then please do read it. But I've got you covered. So the habit loop has three parts. The anchor is also called trigger, the routine, and the reward. And we are going to structure our distraction-free time block using these three parts or the habit loop. So the first part, the anchor. The anchor is a habit that you do every day at around the same time and reliably do every day. For example, I don't get up at the same time every day. I don't have my breakfast at the same time every day. So they cannot be my anchor habits. But I'll tell you what, every day I have my lunch between 1 p.m. and 2 p.m. And every day I have my dinner between 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. These are two parts of my day that are frozen. I know that it's going to happen every day. So the anchor is a habit that you perform every day and you can rely on yourself to do that habit every day. Okay. If you're thinking about, let's say, okay, from tomorrow onwards, I'll wake up at the same time, or from tomorrow onwards, I will do it at so and so time, it will not work because you're creating a new habit. And in order to create a habit using the habit loop, you must rely on an existing habit, which I call the anchor habit. So what you need to do is, in the first part, look at your day and find something that you do reliably every day at around the same time. What I mean by around the same time, you don't have to be dot sharp at the same time. It can be within a 1 hour window. For example, between 7 to 8, 6 to 8, no, 6 to 7, 4 to 5, something that you do within a 1 hour window. So find 1 to 3 things. Now, if you're not able to find even one thing that you do reliably every day, begin with a thing that you can do most of the days of the week. For example, 5 out of 7. Okay. So wherever you are, start from there. Whichever is the thing that you can rely on the most, start from there, and then after that you can start building up momentum. That's the first part, which is selecting your anchor habit. Now, the next part is the routine. The routine is the new habit that you want to build or develop. You can perform the routine before or after the anchor habit. For example, I have my dinner every day between 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. I can choose my new routine, or I can choose to do my new routine before I have my dinner or after I have my dinner. Okay. So you can just mark that here. Routine. Is it before or is it after? Once you do that, let's talk about framing the routine. For active practice, the routine is very, very simple and specific. The routine is you will be solving problems. But what happens is generally people will say, okay, I'm going to solve problems, and then they just go and sit there, and then they start wondering, oh, what problem do I solve, which section do I go? So that's why you have to be specific about what kind of problems are you going to solve. You begin by defining which section. Are you going to work on quantitative reasoning problems? Are you going to work on verbal reasoning problems? Are you going to work on analytical writing assessment? Are you going to work on integrated reasoning? Whichever is the section that you're going to work on, write that here. After that, write which is the question format. Are you going to work on problem solving? Are you going to work on data sufficiency? Are you going to work on sentence correction, critical reasoning, reading comprehension, two-part reasoning, table analysis? Whichever is the question format, write that here. After you write the question format, this is optional, topic, subtopic. You get the drift, right? In one of the worksheets, I have covered all the topics and subtopics, question format and section in detail. So you can just use that as a reference to go one by one, and you can even use it as a checklist. You can start ticking off one by one. All right, once you do that, you write your section, question format, topic, and then you write the number of questions. When you come to solving the number of questions, you can choose to do one question. Yeah, even that's possible. Just do one question, that's enough. Or do a set of 5, or do a set of 10, or you can do a set of 4 or a set of 8. Why I insist on these numbers, or why I recommend, I'm not insisting anything, why I recommend these numbers is because when you switch from untimed to timed practice, I have mentioned what is the time that you should give yourself for each of these blocks. Okay, so that's in a separate worksheet. I'll be discussing more about that later on. It will be easy for you to set the time limit for timed practices if you follow these groupings. Do one question, or do 5 questions, 10 questions, 4 questions, 8 questions. Of course, you can calculate the time limit on your own, but if you want most of the hard work to be done for you already, then follow this system. Okay, right. So select the number of questions and write that here. And the duration. Duration here is the duration of your time block. Now, when you begin, people generally say, oh, I'm going to study for 60 minutes, or I'm going to study for 90 minutes. The issue with this is, maybe one day you will study for 60 minutes, maybe one day you will study for 90 minutes, but it becomes harder and harder for you to sustain this level of focus. That's why what I recommend is, in your first week, you begin with 15 minutes, or let's say first 3 days, you begin with 15 minutes, and then you make it 30, and then you make it 45, and then you can make it 60. Once you reach 60, you can maintain it at 60. Don't try to increase this 60 further, because it becomes harder to maintain focus and maintain the discipline. What you can do is, you can start creating another time block and follow the same process. Remember, I had told you to pick 3 anchor points. So you can use one anchor point to create this time block, use another anchor point to create this time block. The principle is, begin small. So you can either work on creating this entire time block and then coming to this, or what you can do is, you can get this to 15, then get this to 15, get this to 30, get this to 30, get this to 45, get this to 45, get this to 60, and get this to 60. All these various permutations and combinations are possible. So feel free to do any of these alterations according to your convenience. The idea, the core principle is, you have to start your time block based on an anchor habit. And once you start a time block, don't start with a big duration. Start gradually, start building. And this gap can be 3 to 7 days. 3 to 7, 3 to 7. Okay. Now, once you do that, pick the number of questions according to whatever time block. For example, if you have only 15 minutes, then see how many questions you can fit into that 15-minute practice session. Now, the next part is selecting your reward. And this reward doesn't mean that you give yourself a trophy, a medal, or an award. It's just something that you love doing. For example, if you like watching a series on Netflix, or if you like watching a certain channel on YouTube, or if you like listening to music, or if you like a certain type of food, then just say that after you perform your routine, you will reward yourself with something. Here's the key thing. This reward is not an incentive for you to do the habit. Okay. What I mean by that is, for example, if I say that after I perform my routine, I'll have a chocolate. Performing the routine or having the chocolate is not an incentive for me to perform the routine. It doesn't work that way, because I can have chocolate anytime. I can go and eat a chocolate anytime. I don't have to perform the routine. Then what's the agenda? The agenda is, after you perform your routine, you got to make yourself feel good about it. That's the key. Do something that makes you feel good. So there's an anchor point that acts as something to remind you when to do your routine. You do your routine, that helps you in achieving your target goals, and your reward is to make you feel happy at the end of the routine. What that does is, biologically, it starts wiring in a neural pathway that triggers a transition from the anchor to the reward, and the routine gets carried along with the journey. And it's that feeling good that promotes your body to make that habit automatic. If you do this the right way, then as you progress, you'll feel the resistance to these practice sessions reducing as you go on. And once you form this habit, you can use this routine or this middle part to do anything else in the future. So this particular time block of distraction-free practice that you create, you can use it for anything in the future. Imagine the power of that. Once you select the reward, then the next part in the form has to do with the logistics. The thing that you want to avoid is, once you sit down for your distraction-free practice time, you realize, oh, I haven't got my book, or I need a glass of water, or I need a pen or a pencil, or the pencil that I have has broken its lead, or the pen that I have, it's not working, it's not writing properly. So before you sit for your distraction-free time block, make a list of all the resources that you need, and there is a checkbox which says, is the resource actually ready? You can download this template as it is and use it, or you can recreate this in your own digital or non-digital platform. And one more thing that I want you to list is potential distractions. And the checkbox is to ensure whether you have eliminated those distractions. Potential distractions can be somebody watching TV, or your phone ringing, or it can be your tablet coming up with a notification. It can be any of these things. So what you do is, for that particular duration, you inform your family members or friends or whoever you're staying with that, please don't call me during this particular duration, and keep your mobile phone off or in silent mode or in airplane mode, so that you are not disturbed by any notifications or any pings. Proactively identify the things that will drive you off track and take measures to remove those distractions. So that's the next column. Finally, you have the time and place. The time and place is for you to make a commitment. So the time is tomorrow. Instead of writing tomorrow, write the actual date and write the time. And place. Place is where. Where specifically in your house? At my desk, on my couch, on the bed, wherever, right? The place. Okay. With this groundwork done, when you reach your anchor habit, you know exactly what you need to do. And to make it even more specific, you can write a task statement. The task statement is before or after, pick one that is applicable. Before I eat my dinner, I solve 10 questions from whichever topic or section or question format. I aim to complete the task within whichever is the time block, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, sorry, not 20, 45, within this much time. My chances of completing my task, to maximize my chances of completing my task, I prepare all my resources and remove all distractions proactively at my location, okay, from so and so time to so and so time. So this particular task statement will make this routine very, very specific. And one thing, even if you don't do 100% of whatever I'm telling you, it's not an all or nothing sort of scenario. Implement as much as you can. And when I'm offering a system, it's my job to offer it to you in full. How much of it you can apply, how much of it you can use is completely up to you. What I don't want you to do is to get disheartened if you're not able to do this entire thing. Even if you do 30%, or even if you just do 20% of whatever I'm telling you, it does make a difference. But if you're able to do 40%, 60%, 80%, the results that you're going to see are going to proportionally increase. Okay. So that's why follow as much as I'm sharing with you. If you're not able to do the entire thing, don't worry. Do as much as you can. I'll see you in the next video.